ear. They do look very, very similar to hyenas. I think everyone has that, well, not everyone, but a lot of us don't know that hyenas are not actually related to dogs or cats very closely. So they're not related to the wild dogs closely, or lions or leopards or cheetahs. They're actually most closely related to mongooses. And you can see it in these structures, you know, looking at the shape of the face, looking at the denning structure using termite mounds, the matriarchal society. Even if you fine-tune it and you go to a more scientific level, having a look at the particular jaw structure and the tooth structure, the way the teeth are shaped, the way the jaw is shaped, and where the eyes sit in relation to the jaw. All of these small things that show us that they're actually very, very closely related. And of course, DNA and genetic studies. If you look at the trees of how all the different animals are related to each other with DNA, they are much closer related to mongooses. But you can see a semblance, I think, especially with dwarf mongooses and hyena cubs, because of the color similarity and a very sharp little face. They definitely don't look too concerned about anything at this point, other than just scouting and grooming. They haven't left for a foraging expedition yet. What these mongooses will do is, when it comes time for them to start moving this morning and finding some food, I think they are hoping for it to heat up a little first though, is they'll all head out together. If there are pups, there will be a babysitter that stays behind in the den with them. And the rest of the adults will go out feeding and foraging, kind of like that, everybody leaving the termite mound. And then they'll go digging for things like spiders, scorpions, any insects, beetles, small lizards, anything that they can get their claws onto, they will definitely do. And then they come back, they feed the little ones, and they go to bed. Deborah B, yes, mongooses will move from burrow to burrow if they need to. You might find within an area they have 2 or 3 burrowing sites that they can move to, especially in case of an emergency. If they're out foraging and something comes along, they need to find the closest escape, and they normally have that pretty well mapped out, to be honest. They know where their different burrows and the entrances to each burrow are. But they'll stay in one den site for quite a while. One termite mound, usually quite a large one. They'll stay in it for quite a while, and then occasionally they'll move to a new one for the next little while. So not only do they do it temporarily in terms of just quick escapes, but they can actually do it on a more permanent basis as well. They are quite territorial though, so most of the time they'll try and stay in one burrow if they can, one den site. That's actually a very cute picture from there, with the 2 sitting on the top like that. And then just little flits of movement in the grass as the rest of the colony moves around them. Right, so the whole time I've been sitting here, I haven't actually heard any lion calls or lion audio. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to head onto the northern boundary and just head towards Buffelshoek Dam. Hopefully I'll find some lion tracks there.
I've always dreamed of Africa since I was a little girl. And then I just decided, you know what? It's time to come. It's time to just live the dream.
If you want to go on safari with a WildEarth guide, whilst honing your bush knowledge and of course featuring in one of our shows, then head over to our website.
It is so exciting. You're able to see the difference of what you see on TV to how much work it actually is creating what you see on TV. The leopards, mareeps. How could you not really fall in love with that cat? He's got such a personality, and you never know what he's going to do.
Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer and you could be making your first ever on-screen appearance.
It's about just being together and seeing and enjoying the animals and the great outdoors. It's just been a great experience. Certainly, if anyone's able to, dare to dream and come.
There is clearly something in the vicinity around you that's drawn their attention. Yes, that meerkat in the tree is just the coolest of cool meerkats. But watch how he battles when he comes down. That would be like me climbing a tree, just better.
It's a huge privilege to be in these incredible places with these amazing animals. I love filming lions. When they do get up and do something, it's always spectacular. When they are playing, are incredibly fun to watch, especially subalterns and cubs. I love being in the bush and working in these incredible places with these amazing animals. We want to bring it to you so that you can almost feel like you're right there and be able to experience it and enjoy it the way we are.
Welcome back in the area. Squirrel look like they're really very upset. They just try to go forward and check the direction of the squirrel. What I believe it could be leopard that might be moving in the surrounding without seeing any tracks. It might happen she is not out of the area. Amount of the tracks that we have seen for hyena on the road are amazing. We have to listen, maybe. Let's go back and check the direction, maybe. It's happening more into a frontier. I can see the tree squirrel. As the squirrel is running opposite anything that might be in the area, it could be this area. We'll check around. Maybe I might be lucky. What I see early on to get here in this road, only 2 tracks of hyena that look very fresh. But I know that this lamb call of a squirrel is here for the reason. Thank you. We have a question from John. What age do hyena can have cubs? Lovely, lovely question. All the predators out here in nature. Hyena, if you reach 3.5 years, up to 4 years, she'll reach the sexual maturity. She'll start to mate with the male around the area. Of course, same as a leopard, same as lions. 3.5 years is the age, and all of them, they live, according to the book information, they live up to 12 up to 14, and they can live over than 14 years if it's in the area of less competition. Being in a less competition area, you may live 16. That can happen, and after that you're likely to challenge by other hyenas in the same family, or you're challenged by other species. As far as lions, they'll kill you because it's where you lose the sense of smell, sense of hearing, and you may get killed. Guys, there might be something. Let me go back to a fire break. This squirrel was facing to the west. Look like it might be something important that moving into this corner of our road. We are on the Gary Main and Triple M corner. This area quite a lot is where you might find Shidulu or TP. It's a very thick bush to our right here, which is not easy to access, where I was predicting yesterday when we have Shidulu that she might be really denning into the area. Quite a lot of Tamboti thicket, which is perfect for a leopard to den. Thank you. I get a question halfway, but it looked like Stella asking about hyena. I didn't get the over matriarchy, or she might be trying to figure out how many years that the hyena can head or lead in a matriarch society. Thank you. She wants to know what is the oldest hyena. If I get right, maybe Mupo might help me at the back. All this, yes. It depends, Stella, honest speaking. Age sometimes it might be more important. Let me say, let me take an example what happened to Reuben. She's not that much old, but in nature, you know that sometimes when the hyenas and wild dogs in specific, when they get to the certain age, and also you find that the sub-adult females that need to breed and get into alpha position, alpha male and alpha female, it's in the nature that can really separate and get and to took over on mating. The older one might move into a different location of area and start to really form their own den or clan itself. But yes, of course, age limit doesn't have to go. A matriarch, unless if she's very old and cannot able to breed, yes, she might really, one of the female take over from that because she's no longer. But I'll estimate around the age of 10, 12 is where you find that it will be so much old in a sense where it cannot lead the rest of the clan. Remember, a matriarch might be a female that is very healthy and able to defend the clan itself. She'll be the one. But once you lose on that, you get old, you're not in that position to defend the whole clan. So the new one that is stronger than you, it will be selected within the structure or within the clan itself to take over. I will estimate around 10 to 12 years. Then you will be no longer a matriarch, and that you might participate, being in a clan itself, or you're kicked out and go and live somewhere else where you might join the clan and you're not in a rank. As I can see quite a lot of movement of game drive vehicle from the Western Channel. We don't have Western Channel, but of course there might be something happening. I'm thinking the wild dog might be in the area, the way I've seen lots of wild dog tracks that responded all the way down from Triple M up to Gary Main. We'll be linking back to Tessa, which is in the bubble moving in the area of the eastern side of our conservancy.
Just left Buffelshoek Dam. Now I'm bumbling, and I'm kind of doing a bit of a zigzag back towards the boundary, the eastern boundary, still looking for lion tracks. And I'm really hoping that we will find some. So I'm taking it very slow because it's a very thick area. We are surrounded by drainage lines, the dam behind us, and so you can imagine you don't want to miss anything because it is such lush vegetation. So what I'm looking for, well, obviously I'm listening for things as well. So I'm listening for alarm calling, actual lions calling, but I'm mostly looking for animals that are looking super alert. And I'm also looking for any signs of those flicking tails. That black tip of the tail is very noticeable when a lion flicks it to get rid of flies in the grass. So I'm looking for that as well, and then also looking for tracks, any signs of scat, carcasses, anything like that, vultures even. So far I have not found any tracks here, so I think it might still be a little bit further north of me. Yes, the insect life is definitely becoming more abundant. Now that it is summer, there are a lot of butterflies coming out because it's flowering season. It's only going to get better now because it's only just started, but there's a lot of butterflies out. We've also seen a lot more dung beetles at the moment. They're all coming out. And probably the most noticeable is termites, because after the first really good rains, you have something called termite alates. They're basically the new termites that are moving off to find a new space for a new colony. And after the rain, they come out in force, and they look like, I think one of the kind of nicknames for them incorrectly is a flying ant. It looks like a very big wasp, but without a stinger, and very large wings. And it's actually a termite alate. So what they do is they leave the colony after the rain, nice and fresh, the soil is soft, so it's easy to start a new termite mound or a new colony. And they land somewhere, and if they find a partner and they land somewhere, they will actually lose their wings and start building a colony and reproducing. So that is the most noticeable, especially at night. They're coming, obviously because they're attracted to the lights on the vehicles, but they do come out in force. Saw a little bit of a leopard log there, did a double take. Also things like bees, flies. Flies are always around, but in summer they're a lot more populous. There's definitely a lot more insects around at the moment. just about to head back onto the eastern boundary. I've done like a segment of the corner. And I'm now going to do a bit of a figure of 8, go down and back up. Just checking all along here because it is so perfect for lines. So I would think that the lines I heard calling this morning were from the Talamati Pride, because they tend to be more here in the northeast and the northwest, where the Nkuhumas come more from the south. So I'm thinking it's the Talamatis that I heard this morning. I don't know when the last time dark mane was seen. I don't know when that was. Or the S8 or the Mbali male either. So we're not 100% sure of the dynamics at the moment. We think they're more or less the same, that he's still pushing to get dark mane out, and dark mane is still hanging around and moving between the different prides. But I think dark mane was last seen somewhere on the western side. So if he was on the western sector and the Talamatis are coming in from the northeast, they might meet somewhere in the middle, and that's what I'm really hoping for. But let me check the boundary again. I've just pulled up to it now.
Look at that, it's amazing. Wow. Hey.
And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Live.
Oh, that's cool. Just in there.
And the black mamba's going up the tree and the mongoose is attacking it.
It's gonna pounce again.
Sure, you can all agree with me. It's not a bad start to our Wednesday morning.
Something that I have never seen before in my entire life that you are now watching live.
Look at that. It's just beautiful.
Fantastic display by a little herd of springbuck.
How is this view?
My heart is in my mouth, everybody.
Amazing, they've locked their tusks together. You can hear the cracking branches.
It is so incredible to spend this time so close to an African penguin, and it's completely unfazed by my presence whatsoever.
How insane is that animal?
Amazing.
Hey. Oh, awesome. It is fantastic to watch.
Well, now we've got a tug of war between mom and daughter, look.
I'm just at a loss for words. That's just incredible to see that.
So I've done a little bit of a scan up and down the boundary. I'm actually about to do another figure of 8 and loop back in on the next road. But I'm making sure that I'm paying close attention to my radio this morning. There are quite a few vehicles out. And so we do want to make sure that we don't miss any important updates, because I think quite a few people will be looking for any line tracks because there haven't been lines in the last while. So we're actually at the moment fairly close to the area where Tundi was yesterday and where I had tracks of, I think, Maribs following Tundi. And so there's always the possibility of pretty much anything happening at the moment where we are. Because Torchwood is now on my left, Djuma's on my right. So we're in a very, very good area for all the predators at the moment, but we definitely want to make sure that we don't miss anything. Interestingly enough, this cut line this morning, compared to yesterday morning, there was a lot of tracks on the cut line yesterday of everything, hyenas, leopards. This morning there hasn't been a single fresh track on the cut line. Anna-Marie, thank you so much. I really hope you can find them as well. Patience definitely pays off and hard work pays off, but I mean, that being said, if they haven't crossed into Djuma yet, there's not much chance I'll find them this morning, but it is worth checking because you never know. You know, it could have been coming in from the northern boundary or somewhere from the northwest and crossing in a circle, and somewhere along one of the cut lines there were tracks. So you never know. You never know. But that's part of the magic of being out here. You know, you have a mission when you come out, you know what you're wanting to find for the day, and you know that at any given point that can be swayed by anything that you come across. Your plan changes, and it can change in a second depending on what comes up. So my intention is lions. Hopefully I find them, but whatever comes up might change the plan. But it is definitely, I think it's more almost more useful in a way when you know what you're looking for and you know the area you want to be working in, and you stick with that. Even the other things that come along, there's generally a little bit more, I don't want to say structure, but it is almost structure. There's a little bit more structure and a little bit more planning, and it makes it quite a bit easier to know where you're going. It's a combination of both. So pride movements can be random, absolutely, but you can also predict them. It's because they're territorial. They're going to be in their set territory pretty much all of the time unless something very untoward happens. But with particular prides that have been in an area for quite a while, you can predict their movements. So if we find their tracks here going in a certain direction, I can say, okay, they're going to come up at Buffelshoek Dam, so I need to go and check there, skip the roads in between and go to Buffelshoek Dam. So it just depends on the particular pride and where you find their tracks. It's very similar to leopards. If they have favorite spots, they will go back to those favorite spots. So we know that if we find tracks of the lions crossing, for example, north and west over our boundary with Gowrie Main, they're probably going to a very specific section very close to Longpole on Buffelshoek, because they like to do that in their rotation if it's the Talamatis. So, I mean, obviously, again, just like us on drive, the plan can change in an instant. They might be headed to one of their favorite areas and hear some buffalo in a completely opposite direction and completely turn. And so then it gives you a bit more of a challenge, and then you've really got to try and narrow down on every road where you find their tracks crossing again. But most of the time, you can more or less predict, because animals are quite sticky with their behaviors. Lions will stick to dense areas, leopards will stick to drainage lines, tall tree areas. So we know with a combination of their behavior, a combination of which pride we are looking at or which animal we're looking at, and the territory that we're in, you can usually quite fairly predict, especially when you've spent a while in the area like Rexon, you can quite easily predict where they might pop up, and so you can narrow down your search and really make it a lot quicker. Obviously, that takes a lot of time, more than anything, to learn the animals that well, but also to learn the properties that well, so that you can predict exactly where you're going and what the draw is to that area. So for me, still being new at Djuma, I can make educated guesses. I know some of the animals, and I've definitely met the prides of lions, and I know their territories and things like that. But it takes me a little bit more time than it would take someone like Rex. And so if I know I've got Thandi, I don't know all of her favorite spots. If she's heading in that direction, my guess is she's going to that drainage line because that makes sense for a leopard. But I wouldn't know particular spots on the drainage line that she likes yet, for example. So it really is quite a dynamic thing, and it takes time. It really is just a situation of blood, sweat and tears to learn all the different animals and their territories. It's quite a sandy road, but so far all I've seen are hyena tracks. Okay, so while I try and find some lion tracks to work from in the first place, I'm going to send you back to Rexon on his bubble.
Welcome back from Tessa Live, heading east and trying to follow up on anything that might be interesting to find and that's surrounding. We also doing the same. We have moved out from the area of the tree squirrel. It's lambing. There's no evidence. Of course, we'll try to check all the roads. We don't see any information. We'll be moving towards Treehouse Dam, coming from the southern side of the dam, where most of the animal, when it migrate from one part to another, they normally cross. So we'll be trying to check there if we might get information of lions or leopards or anything that might be moving in the area, actually checking the movements. It will be great for us to understand what might be in our surrounding. So Treehouse Dam is one of the dam, of course, that visiting the dam or checking the dam every day, you might get more information of an animal that's been in that area and move out. Again, it's an area where we have seen Kalamba, we have seen Thandi, we have seen Shidulu, we have seen all these male leopards. The most, it looked like the area they like the most to go there. Just walk past and head in a different direction. So it's very much productive. As you can see here, the information that we get, it tells us there was a breeding herd of elephant in the area, and there is a single tracks of hippo that leading directly to Treehouse Dam. Maybe they might be at the dam itself. It's very quiet for the morning. Nothing much reported on the radio, but we're gonna look for our own animals to find in these areas, relying on the tracks information. And such a beautiful name, Treehouse. The name is derived from in the early days of hunting concession. Those 40 years back, 50 years back, they used to have a tree house. They built a sort of a platform on that area and wait for animal to come. It was very rare. Remember talking about the history of Sabi Sand of Djuma in particular, that all these areas, it was very rare to see, more especially elephant and lions and leopards. Those days, things, all like cats, they were so nervous. They were further more into the east of the conservancy. Moving in the area, maybe you tend to see tracks of lions once a week come across. Leopard was so skittish. There was leopards in the area, but there were a lot more skittish because, of course, they used to hunt in the surrounds. After 1972, all these areas up to 80s, they all started to view animals or photograph animals, and they started a program or project of habituation of all different sorts of species to get relaxed with vehicle, which now we're benefiting more. All the leopard was started early those years. We'll be linking back while we're still checking here the Treehouse Dam back to Tessa, which is doing the same, trying to check for tracks and find game.
Swatike emsabeni we baba babansati banhlupha we baba abafika endlini yami awungathi bangafike kathithimela we baba how city was a Friday, my darling, was a Friday.
This is that one, I don't know if you've seen guys make soap out of the leaves.
Yeah. Hey, my sweetie, was a Friday.
Cape Nature is the chief custodian of the Western Cape of South Africa's natural environment. This highly successful organization strives to conserve the province's natural heritage to ensure a sustainable future. Besides nurturing nature, Cape Nature offers an authentic ecotourism experience to local and international visitors. And one of these experiences is walking amongst the penguins at Stony Point, or as we know it, Penguin Beach. WildEarth broadcasts live from here every day and is very privileged to be partnered with Cape Nature, who have focused their conservation efforts here. If you want to visit these iconic black and white African penguins for yourself, then head over to our website to find out more. Cape Nature. Conserve, explore, experience.
So there we go, look. All three in one frame. Look at that, isn't that cool? Oh, that is so special. That is exactly what we had been hoping for, is all three of them to come together and make the perfect little family portrait.
Treehouse Dam. The information that you can get here, it looked like during the course of night there were lots of elephants that came in, especially in the water side, and move out of the area. We'll continue heading more to the eastern part of the dam towards the riverbed Mlowati and check the area Elephant Skull out to Spaghetti Crossing. We don't have much evidence apart of the elephant. So I believe the elephant that might be around the area, they are everywhere. It's just a matter of finding them. They might be still sticking in the thick habitat, but we'll be really later on try to see them if we manage. There's a tracks here, look like a male leopard, but it looked like in the middle of night. I mean, walking here, this is the second tracks that I get from the waterhole going east. It could be Mlowati Mel. Early part of night, of course, is not a fresh tracks to follow. And of course, try to track Mlowati you're wasting your time. Very nervous. Sometimes if he really wants to stay in front of vehicle, he do stay. If he wants to run away, he does. I can really get an audio or alarm call of a squirrel if I'm not wasting a motor or left in a drainage line somewhere here. That still, it's just silent as a vehicle stop. Sometimes you cannot rely on a squirrel. They can see flying bird of prey across, they will start to alarm. They can see, bushes sometimes, movement of the bushes forced by wind, they can also alarm. So you'll never really trust them, what they've seen in the area. We'll be carry on and try to check our tracks here, information, and work on the information that might really get on the ground. That I guarantee, if you find the tracks, you'll manage to find an animal. If a tree squirrel call while you're having tracks, that gives more 100% that the animal that you're tracking, it might be on that area. These tracks, Mulawati is no longer on this road. It also look like a move off. I can't tell the direction because it look like an elephant on top of these tracks at night. So pretty much it might be maybe heading towards Kalambas location, because it's in the nature of a leopard. Once it does have cubs with the female, you'll patrol the area and also visiting the den quite often to check on the youngster if they're still safe. Look like I got his tracks again here. It's going that I can maybe try to show you how big is Mulawati tracks for you guys to understand. It's not a fresh tracks though. It look like a little bit old. Not what is you can able to, Mopo, you're able to see that it's a difficult angle. It's not an easy one, but his tracks is moving. There's one at the back here, well dented. I can see. Let me quickly show you and circle the tracks that you can see. I will be off from the vehicle to show these tracks, then Mopo can able to show you the best tracks of Mulawati. Size. How wide his size. Such a big tracks. It's so much wide from the back toes and the front one. So big. Mulawati, it looked like a female lion. Let me come back. Maybe I can reposition nicely for this track. I didn't get the question or comment, maybe because I was off trying to show the tracks. Yes, we'll be linking back to task. Let me try, take a risk, follow these Mulawati tracks. Maybe we might be lucky.
Okay. So I am sitting on the cut line. I've heard there is a leopard very close by. And so I'm waiting to see if it comes towards the cut line here. It is a perfect area to be in because it is nice and thick here. And there are quite a few tall trees. You can hear there are some other vehicles around here. The leopard has apparently laid down and is quite tough to see at this point. And I'm not sure which leopard it is yet, but I'm very, very excited to see which leopard it might be. Okay, so at this point, I think it's a young male leopard, so my guess is that it's going to be Maribs, possibly following Tundi, but that is just a guess. I don't know if it is going to be him. Just based on the area, we're on the eastern side of Djuma at the moment. And he seems to be coming from the eastern side west over into Djuma. So it might very well be Maribs following Tundi at a distance. Oh wow, there's a red-crested korhaan calling. That definitely might get his attention. Let me see if I can move forwards a little bit. Maybe we can try and get a glimpse of where he is lying. Definitely thinking that the korhaan would have interested him at least a bit. I think this is going to be quite a tough position to view from, because we are on a boundary and the grass is so long. Oh my goodness. I think what I might have to do is just turn and kind of angle in and hope that he gets up and moves this way. If he stays lying down, because he is on the other property, I cannot go further than this. So what I'm actually doing is just hoping that he gets up and moves closer to us. I don't know if you want to take any guesses of which leopard it might be. We're in the northeastern sector of Djuma at the moment. Almost, well, we're on the northern boundary where Djuma meets Torchwood meets Buffelshoek. So I don't know if any of you want to have a guess at which male leopard this might be. We haven't seen him, but maybe testing your knowledge a bit on where we might find which leopards. I don't think he's going to be still for too long as a bit of a reassurance. Well, I hope he won't be, but I don't think he will be because it is so nice and cool today. It's still overcast. I think it will be very, very interesting. The radio is quite loud. Alright, so I'm guessing that it won't be long, if it is Maribs, before he actually catches up with Tundi at some point.
Yeah, what's your name? I'm just concerned right here on the
Indigo Girl, you think it might be Shasha? Actually, Darren and I were just talking about Shasha and Maribs just before this. And saying, you know, it is quite unusual that Maribs has not really moved off too much from Tundi. And Shasha is so independent. So comparing two young leopards that are very similar in age, very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. I don't know if Shasha would be this far east, but I mean, it's definitely possible. If Shasha can smell Maribs and might want to be a little bit more independent, it could be something that would be, well, yeah, possible. Definitely could be possible. I'd love to see Shasha again. I haven't seen Shasha since September. And so that would definitely be quite a great day, actually, to see Shasha. Although I haven't seen Marib since September either, so either of the males would be absolutely lovely to see this morning. It is the perfect leopard morning. Can hear a lot of the birds out this morning still. None of them have been alarm calling, which is unusual considering there's a leopard in the area. Very, very unusual. So Sterling's wren warbler calling, that's quite unusual as well. So I haven't had a view of this leopard yet, unfortunately. But hopefully this leopard decides to come closer to the boundary very soon. I'm very hopeful that it will be crossing over into Djuma.
Hello everyone, my name is JP. I'm one of your WildEarth eco-training bushwalk guides. So for many years you've been watching WildEarth directly from your laptop or computer. However, now you can watch it directly from your connected TV, your Apple TV, or from your Roku box. And if you are like me, always busy, you can now download the WildEarth app and view it directly from your mobile phone.
Wildlife trafficking remains a growing problem in South Africa, and often made worse by the way the media portray this complex issue. The Wildlife and Environment Society of South Africa, WESA, have recently embarked on a program whereby they train reporters to better tell stories of wildlife trafficking.
In my community, wildlife conservation is mostly something other people do, and I would like to change that. My name is Iman Singli. I told people I met that the pangolin is one of the most trafficked animals on the planet. But what is a pangolin, they said? Why is it in danger? This is what made me decide that the pangolin story must be told. If we are to play a part in preventing the extinction of this animal, then we must all be part of the battle.
A partnership between WWF South Africa and WESA, supported by USAID.
Hello, boy. You are a monster. He's coming right up to us. Hello, boy. Oh, settle down. Settle down. He is very, very close. He's pushing his trunk against the car. You can feel the car moving. Hey, 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 hey. Stop that.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth Daily.
My name is David, and I love being a cam op because you get a front row seat to all the best sightings that WildEarth has to offer. Sharing it with everyone else, well, that's a perk too. What makes the WildEarth experience magical? Well, it has to be the fact that it's live and interactive. The sighting that'll be ingrained in my brain for life, watching a lioness kill 3 wildebeest during the migration in the space of about 20 minutes. My spirit animal, that has to be a monkey.
Okay, so we've had a glimpse of this male leopard. He's currently just behind these bushes. And I can tell you he had quite a unique spot pattern on his necklace and very fluffy furnitured ears. So that gives me an idea that it is Maribs. But I have not seen enough of him yet to absolutely confirm this. I've just seen a few spots through the bushes in the few little gaps that we got. But it does seem like he is getting active and wanting to move. And I'm hoping that he will be moving this way. how exciting even just to see the spots of a leopard through the bushes. You just never know what you're going to get. The names of the leopards, Avrak, are decided by a combination of the guides and sometimes the viewers and the managers and staff at Djuma normally. And it will depend on any particular habits that the leopard has. So if it enjoys a particular thing, like Shidulu is named after termite mounds because she likes termite mounds, or possibly a particular section of the reserve or anything like that, any habits would be what the leopards are named after. But they are only named when they start reaching the age where they're kind of considered out of the woods, if you can call it that, where they are considered to be most likely to actually still survive. So you're not going to name a 1 or 2 month old leopard cub. You would rather name an older cub, maybe over a year, moving more towards sub-adult. So I'm not sure if he is completely turned around. Looks like he may have. A lot of the time what you'll find, especially with leopard and hyena names, is you try and stick to something that is easy to relate to, something that relates to the personality of the leopard, but also something that preferably is one of the local languages, because that really makes a lot more sense, like Shidulu, Shangan for termite mound, those kinds of things. And it really is quite interesting to see how, you know, there's quite a process of narrowing down. You get to know the personality of the leopard, you get to know kind of the areas that it hangs out in, any particular favorites of that leopard. I just want to check and see if it's come down this way. And then there's almost like a voting process where everyone brings forward some suggestions and then we decide from there. So in the future, when, for example, Ribbon's cubs get a bit older, there's going to come a time where we've learnt their personalities a bit, and so then we can start trying to name them. Very, very interesting. This is pretty much as far as I can go at the moment. And I think he is somewhere in front of us, very possibly. But to find a gap is a whole nother story. Well, we do have some other vehicles around, also trying to find him again. But I do think that it was Marib's. Somewhere along that road, hiding in the brush. Oh, there we go, there's a glimpse. Some spots through the bushes. There we go, you can see a bit of the glimpse there. Okay, so unfortunately it's not a very clear view. It's a very thick area, so even off-roading there would be quite tough. There you can see movement. It is unfortunately such a thick area that we can't get a clear view at this point. And this is why it is so tough to spot leopards a lot of the time, because, I mean, I know that there is a leopard here, but to even see him with the naked eye is very, very, very tough. Okay, so I'm going to stick around for a few more minutes and see if he does change direction and come back. But I do think that it was my ribs with the very extensive ear tufts coming out. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Let's head back to Rex in the meantime, who is busy bumbling.
Welcome back from Tessa with Marie. It's beautiful young leopard, very much entertaining. In most cases, Marie is one of the young leopard that grow up in this area. We are still following the tracks of look like Molowati, which is heading down the area. I've circled the block and I'm coming around the quarantine. I just want to check here if is any tracks of this particular male leading out of that area. At the moment, no yet. It looked like he might end it in between the vulture's nest and also the drainage line that goes through Muskatla and East Molowati. And that area is where Tandy, she used to den quite a lot. I believe maybe the Kalamba might move on that area. The reason why I've said I predict that might be Molowati, if you look at the size of the tracks, it's so big. Yeah, I know that maybe Shasha comes into the area. It would be nice to see Shasha again, even Tembo around this area. But at the moment, we just want to take this opportunity and chance. If we may locate Molowati, it's possible to see him. Maybe it might be not relaxed for us or try to be posing in front of the camera. We might see like a few seconds and he disappear into the bush. But the most important thing for me to understand is to check, is it Molowati moving in the area where almost Tandy went or not? But it might be so, again, important to check Molowati. You might find that he is staying behind Tandy all the time to check if there's no Tembo, there's no TP coming into the area, there's no other young leopard as far as Tabangume might be coming in the surrounding of the youngster. So it's more important. We'll check one more area into the drainage line where he normally, we have seen the tracks cutting straight to. And it's directly the old den of Tandy. Never know, who knows. We just want to check there and we keep moving. But yeah, we have circled around the area. There's no tracks coming out. So the leopard is more to our left. Molowati is now here. I don't know where it might be. I should go direct in the area where he might be lying down at the present moment. But I believe he's somewhere in the drainage line. It will be very interesting if Tandy have moved the den and come to the area. We'll manage to go here, check. If not, we might find Molowati. If not, we'll carry on heading east Central Road in that area further towards Bedford Dam, looking for another tracks of leopard or lion. Anything that might come out, we'll be interested. Thank you. We have a question and appreciate for a question. Thank you so much. Is it Molowati dominant male in the area? Yes, of course. At the moment, he's a dominant male of this surrounding. He's the one that fathered the Kalamba's cubs. A very good sign that he's a dominant of the area. And again, he might be father more cubs around in the area, but we have no evidence at the moment. We have mated with Shidulu. We know that Tipi, he was mating with Shidulu, but you know, these leopards, they can cut oestrus in between two males and really mix them when it comes to the offspring that might have, more especially realizing competition. I'm in an area here where it used to be old den. We just try to be checking around here nicely and see. Beautiful sign of birds that comes in the area. Butcher's cuckoo. It's a nice drainage line. It's one of the best area for a leopard to den. We'll come back.
Nothing beats sitting around a campfire at night whilst on safari, listening to the calls of the wild and chatting to your guide. If you sign up to be a WildEarth explorer, then you can enjoy this from the comfort of your home. Imagine hearing bush stories from your favorite WildEarth guide and reliving their highs and lows of a life spent in the wild. Every month, WildEarth explorers will be treated to an exclusive fireside chat, special occasions, hot topics, and deep dives into the WildEarth characters.
Everything else is just welling up inside of you out in nature. You know, some people think I'm weird, but I have an absolute joy. I have a good time.
Now, I enjoyed myself thoroughly today.
WildEarth explorers, it's in your nature. BirdLife South Africa, our country's only dedicated bird conservation organization. They have been very successful in a number of areas, including the conservation of more than 150,000 hectares of grasslands and estuary habitat, saving thousands of albatrosses in trawl and longline fishing, and training community bird guides as ambassadors for nature in rural areas. Celebrating their official 25th anniversary, they are sharing 25 of their top success stories across their social media platforms. BirdLife South Africa is currently striving towards the conservation of 132 bird species that are heading for extinction. If we conserve birds, we will protect other biodiversity and important habitats that provide clean water and clean air for humans. Their work is forever ongoing. People who love birds can become a member of BirdLife South Africa or make a donation towards a bird conservation project.
Guys, just watch what's happening. See, watch the elephant, watch the lions. See, the first ones to run are the cubs. Can you see them? They are right here. I'm not sure how scared you were, but I was quite nervous. Absolutely incredible.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Okay, so unfortunately, Mareeps has decided to turn north and he completely went in the opposite direction. So he did not cross the boundary into Djuma, unfortunately. But we do know that it was Mareeps now, so that is lovely. We at least got to see a flash of him. And we know that he is well and he is moving. And very likely, the area that he's in is going to be following Tundi. So at some point he is going to cross in. I'm sure at some point during the day today, Mareeps is going to cross the boundary and come back to find Tundi. So I'm still checking the cut line quite carefully. I'm actually headed down towards Chitwa Dam to go and see if there's anything around there. And I'm just checking the boundary quite carefully because Tundi was off on my right-hand side here in the last few days. And chances are she might be coming back around to cross into Torchwood. So it's always a good idea whenever you're in this area on Cheetah Cut Line, checking for tracks of Tundi and Mareeps and the lions. So that's exactly what we are doing this morning. Very interesting. The biggest tell for me with Mareeps is those very, very fluffy ear tufts that he's got. The furnituring. And it's just a kind of a dead giveaway really for Mareeps. So there are actually, in fact, some of Mareeps' tracks here. yesterday while I was coming down here, I found tracks of Tundi and Maribs. And Tundi cut off and Maribs kept coming down this road, and I've just seen some of his tracks again from yesterday where I was following them. So he did a bit of a loop and he turned somewhere on Torchwood, came back and then bounced back again, and Tundi crossed straight over. So I'm thinking she's going to come back. Although, I don't know if she'll actually ever get frustrated enough with him following her around that she kind of moves him off. But it certainly seems like this double-banded sandgrouse really wants to be viewed. I'm going to show you. Yeah, I think Tundi at some point will probably get a little bit frustrated with Maribs and chase him off. So this is a female double-banded sandgrouse. The male is somewhere on the left of the road in the brush. And just such a stunning bird. You'll often find them, especially on these sandy roads. They'll be in the road looking for insects. They even sleep in the roads at night. You can see quite beautiful patterning on the feathers, especially down the back and the wing. A lot of very, very fine stripes and barring. And then that beautiful yellow ring around the eye. So the male looks a little bit different to this. He's got a black and white streak around the eye and on the head. She looks like she's actually calling for him. Yeah, yes, this is one of the more beautiful birds. In fact, this was a bird that I had never seen before I started guiding. Well, maybe I'd seen it, I just didn't actually notice what it was, but I had never seen a double-banded sandgrouse before, and then when I got to Ngala, it was actually one of the star birds, one of the birds that's famous for the area. That was quite a cute little shake of the feathers, getting all the dust out. And it's actually since become one of my favorite birds. They're actually very useful, believe it or not, for tracking. Because they spend so much of their time on the roads, you can often use them to tell how fresh a track is. Oh, little poop on the road there. So basically what happens is they won't walk around during the night, but they will start walking around in the morning. So if you find tracks of something like Maribs on this road, and you find a double-banded sandgrouse track over the top, you know that he moved sometime during the night. If, however, you find his track on top of a double-banded sandgrouse track, it means that he moved sometime this morning, after the sandgrouse were already awake. And so they can be very, very useful birds for tracking, very similar to things like emerald-spotted wood dove, except that sandgrouse spend a lot more of their time here. They've got a pretty interesting strategy using their feathers for collecting water. What they'll actually do is when they find a water hole, they will kind of bathe in it and try and collect as much water as they can, especially the mother, in the bottom of the feathers and the wings. And then they fly like that back to where their chicks are, and they will allow the chicks to drink water from their feathers, so the chicks don't have to move to find water. And that's adapted specifically for desert and sandy areas. But it's a very unique strategy. Imagine how heavy this mom must feel if she's collecting water for her chicks and she's weighed down by all of that extra weight of the water droplets on her feathers. She kind of sits in it and expands and retracts her feathers a little bit so that they're fluffed up in the water, and it traps some water in between. Definitely a grooming kind of morning. Alright, so while she moves off into the grass, I'm going to carry on down the boundary back towards Djuma Dam. Definitely one of my favorite dams that I think I've ever seen in my life is Djuma Dam. getting colder, believe it or not. So I think we are expected to have some more rain in the next few days. So I think the animals know this much better than we do, and they're capitalizing at the moment on moving around while the weather is like this, getting in as much different food as they can before the weather hits. It does look like it is going to get more and more overcast for the rest of the day, so I wouldn't be surprised if we actually have some rain tonight or this afternoon. Interesting track on the road. I just want to have a quick look at that. Alright, so while I keep tracking, there's some fresh hyena tracks on the road. Let's head over to Rex and see what he's up to.
Welcome back from Tessa Live, tracking the hyena tracks. We almost Central Road, area where we have last seen Tandy headed to east. We try to come in the area. We might really find tracks of Tandy. You know that the leopard sometimes might stick one area or might move all the time. You never know. It does with the computation that there might be the female accounting in the area of operation. So she might choose now and then area where is less hyena or area where is less activity of other leopards. Of course, in the morning we were planning to head a little bit north in the area where we might check tracks. We went to the western boundary. There's no line tracks in the area. I was just talking with Saf and Mupo when we get it's central in this area we are. Why these lions are, or why the lion movement are so at the moment. Yes, it's so important for us to know that because of competition of males between S8 male and dark mane, there's a really challenging issue there of dominance. It looks like S8 is taking over from the whole pride, while the dark mane is still remaining with the pride. For me, with the understanding of being a dominant male in the area, dark mane is losing all those values, being a strong male to protect the pride. That's the reason you find that these pride, they really move in one area of an location of operation or territorial. They are all more into western boundary. That tells they're running away from a strong young male, S8 male, not to come more into area. And again, with S8 male, he has 3 females, and he cannot cover the whole area. So dark mane, he's running more to the west, and that might cause dark mane to disappear in the area finally. If it happens so, our new males come and take over from the whole pride, we'll start to see the movement of the whole pride in a surrounding, in and out. At the moment, dark mane will lose or might get killed because he's more away, even far from the other 2 collection of his brothers. They are more to the south of us, moving further more deeply in south. They never come back in the area, and we haven't seen dark mane coming back in the area. But I just hope wherever dark mane is moving, if you account other lions in that surrounding, he has to move back to the south and settle down in the area. So it looked like wherever it might be at the moment with the sub-adults, life, it's easy. It doesn't have challenge of other male. But again, he's not going to have peace or get to mate with his offspring. He has to move out completely on that. If it happens that he mated with his own blood, it will be a lot of deformation into the whole pride. So, and lion respect that in most cases. I've learned over many years, and many guides have learned that. I'll take an example of the Birmingham that were here. They left the area without getting challenged, just because they're avoiding mating with their own blood in a pride. So I wish for Duckmen also to respect that. Get out of that pride and let the new blood circulate in the whole pride. Trying to check here, we drove past here yesterday, there was no tracks. I mean, this morning looked like no tracks, that no animal that have come into the area are part of the impala that we're crossing here. We're gonna check Cheetah Cat Line and see what might be happening on that area at night. What I might observe on the ground, it's water thickening that we're moving in the area. And we'll be linking back to Tessa. She was tracking Hyena tracks.
That's my boy.
It couldn't be a better morning. This is just too special.
Wow, what a way to start off.
Bright colors, and it attracts the insect to the flower, which is exactly what we're watching right now. This is so exciting. There's two. Hello, Mama. It's all good. Hi. Hi.
The smallest baby black-backed jackal I have seen in the wild. Look how full the belly is.
It is so incredible to spend this time so close to an African penguin. They just make me feel alive.
That is incredibly sweet. Grooming each other.
Play is vital. This is how they learn. This is how they would tackle prey.
There you go, there you go. There you go, there you go. Heart is pumping right now.
Look at this, everybody. We got a live kill. There's nowhere to go.
It's just such an incredible privilege to be out here. It just keeps on delivering.
Live.
There she goes, going for the youngster. She got it.
That's what I'm talking about.
Look at that.
There's insanely good footage.
So I'm not quite sure which hippo would be roller. I wouldn't even be sure how to identify roller because they all look the same at that age, and as far as I know there's no distinctive markings on roller, just a small hippo. But it is nice to see the pod of hippos here at Chitwa Dam so close to the little island. and being quite active. I think because of the cool weather, they are definitely taking advantage of the fact that they don't need to be completely under the water and still. There are definitely a lot of birds that are out and about this morning. If you can hear a strange noise, apologies, it's my binoculars against my hat. Mango Bright, the easiest way to identify individual hippos is if they have any form of scarring. In fact, any animal at all, if it has scarring, the scarring is completely unique. And so that's pretty much the easiest way. If you've got two hippos that are pretty much unscarred, you'd have to look at smaller differences like body size, different kind of shapes in the face or anything like that. So it can be quite tricky. But hippos in particular are probably one of the most difficult. In fact, to tell the difference between male and female hippos is actually incredibly hard on its own, because hippos are one of the animals that have internal genitals. So it's not like, you know, a lot of the animals that have external testes or anything like that. Hippos don't, just like rhinos don't. But for hippos in particular, you can't really tell the difference very easily. You'll never really see the teats or the nipples on a female hippo, just like the penile sheath is very, very small. So it can be very tough to tell the difference between individuals unless there is an obvious scar or something on the face or the body that you can see. For instance, the hippos that were at Vuyatela Dam last night, I think that might be Rolo.
Where?
Here to the front left, the one closest to us. Kind of breached itself out of the water a bit. It's just gone down, yeah, one of those. Yeah, that one. So the hippos that were fighting last night, there was quite a clear difference between the two of them. One was incredibly meaty on the face. It had a much more knobbly and full face, where the other one had a much flatter and thinner face. Very, very interesting to note, like the entire time we could tell which hippo was which last night and monitor which hippo was winning, and it was always the bigger one, the chunkier one that was winning. So I'm definitely thinking Rolo is here somewhere because there are two smallish ones together. Oh. So if you have never seen a hippo defecate, now you have. It sounds very strange and it looks even stranger, but they flick their tail as they are defecating so that the dung can fly pretty much everywhere. It breaks it up in the water, which makes it a bit easier. But they also use it for scent marking and dominance displays. Brody, I agree. I have seen many fights in the animal kingdom, but I have never, ever had sounds like we had last night witnessing a fight in person. It was absolutely mind-blowing to me how loud that was and how terrifying it sounded. To me, it sounded more terrifying than some of the lion fights that I've seen. I really thought last night was going to be to the death. It seemed like it by the time we left. It seemed like it was going to be to the death or nothing. So I think either this little one or that little one of those two, might be Rolo. Those are the two calves of this pod. Yeah, it certainly doesn't even seem like, if you look at the hippos today, it doesn't even seem like the same animal that we saw last night. You know, how is it the same species? They are so calm and relaxed and quiet. And last night was a war zone. That's what it kind of sounded like. It was and looked like with the water erupting and the fighting. Quite terrifying. A few times I jumped as the big hippo came out of the water. I've been scanning a little bit for crocodiles to see if I can see any, but at the moment I can't. Probably somewhere under the water with just the nose peeking out. But I am kind of still just looking around every now and then with my binoculars, just to scan the banks in particular, because this is a great time for pretty much anything to be coming down to the dam. The breeze has actually almost dropped completely, and it seems like it is warming up now. It's quite nice as well just to see that these hippos are a little bit more active. Normally when we come past here, they're either on the far end of the dam or they're here at the island, but they're mostly sleeping. And so to see them kind of moving around, but they're not actively feeding or anything right now. I think they're just enjoying the water and the company. But still very interesting to see them at least having a little bit of movement.
Do you dream of traveling to a far-flung wilderness location where life continues as normal? A place where you can escape to nature and breathe. If you become a WildEarth explorer, then this could soon become a reality. Subscribe today and stand a chance to win regular travel prizes. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature. For those of you who love to join us on safari here on WildEarth, we have some news.
This is incredibly exciting.
The team have trawled through the archives and found the very best of safari life from over the years.
Come and disperse the...
With locations such as the Masai Mara in Kenya.
You can see how close he is from where I am.
Swalu in the Kalahari.
It is absolutely incredible.
And of course, Pinda and Ngala, right here on our doorstep.
Listen.
We have hours of great entertainment that is now playing on our channel. Catch up with guides from the past, and of course your favorite animal characters.
It's happening. I've never seen this before.
The best of Safari Live will be broadcast on WildEarth channel daily, so jump on board and join us down memory lane. Times for this brand new series are on our website.
Guys, have a look at what we've got. This is better than my birthday. Look at that. This is the first time that I ever see cubs this small. This is so special. This has officially just become my best sighting of all times.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
Hi, I'm Mike Anderson, and I come to you live every day from Eco Training Pridelands Conservancy in South Africa. The wild animal I think is most underrated. I think buffaloes are the most underrated. They're so tenacious and ferocious, and also very, very protective of each other, which I find incredible. You know, sometimes people think of the big five, they just think of lions and leopards and other big animals, but I think buffaloes are pretty underrated.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
Okay, so it seems like things are heating up a little bit here at Chitwa Dam. The hippos are starting to move around a little bit more, and I'm sure you can hear the birds are currently chattering away with each other, particularly the Egyptian geese and the woodland kingfishers. And I think it's because all of a sudden, in the last 2 minutes, it's getting hot enough that I'm ready to take my jacket off. It's like the wind has completely died away, and the sun is starting to peek through the cloud cover a bit. So I think the animals are responding. So it's always really, really nice to be able to spend a little bit of time at a watering hole. But particularly so because we know that this is one of the main watering holes in the area. And we're not sure at the moment where the Nkuhumas are, whether they might have been coming through here in the last few days. So, worth a try. It definitely looks as though one of the hippo calves is having a very good time on the island. Angie, hippos can stay out of the water for quite a while. They do have very sensitive skin, so they do want to make sure that they don't dehydrate in the African heat. But, I mean, I've known a hippo that was out of the water for a very, very long time. He used to actually try and find shady spots in the sandy riverbeds to try and cool himself off. But, you know, preferably they do want to be in the water for most of the day. They definitely can survive if it's raining, if it's overcast. They can survive for a few days without coming back to the water. But it's definitely not an easy life for them. It's not an easy thing to do. And so if it is quite hot, you'll find that if a hippo, for example, what might happen is if there aren't enough watering holes and a dominant male gets overthrown and he has to move to find new water, if he can't find an unoccupied dam, what he would have to do is find a shady spot where he can try and rest during the day out of the direct sunlight. And then at night, when the other hippos are out feeding, try and sneak into the water hole so that he can make sure that he's at least getting some water onto his skin to try and help. But it could be anywhere from a few days to, I guess, a few weeks, depending on how hot it is and the conditions in the area. Vivi, I agree. It's such an amazing place to see a diversity of animals, whether it's birds or mammals, even insects. There always just seems to be something happening at the waterhole. One of the calves is actually chewing on the branch at the island there. Let's see if we can get that. So just keep watching at the bottom. I'm not sure if it's Rolo or the other calf, but it keeps coming up next to that log and chewing on the end pieces. Still a very young calf. You can see some red-billed buffalo weavers flying in and out there. That was the bird you saw come into the frame quickly. So I'm sure with this stump especially, the hippos must enjoy the island quite a lot because they can use it to rest their heads on, they can scratch with it, they can chew on it. Gary, that is quite an odd question actually. I don't think hippos go through a teething phase traditionally like we would see a teething phase. In fact, I don't think any animals really do other than the predators. The predators are constantly chewing when they're youngsters. And it's actually very interesting. Hippos' teeth are slightly different because of the tusks that they have. They're constantly sharpening their tusks through the friction of moving their top and bottom jaw open and closed. and the top tusks and the bottom tusks rubbing against each other certainly sharpens them. But I don't think they struggle with teething, as in, actually getting uncomfortable and wanting to chew on things too much. I think it probably is a little bit uncomfortable, but it's more playful than anything to chew on the logs. It's curiosity when you're a youngster, I think. What a stunning scene. So although it looks like blue sky behind those dotted clouds, it's actually more clouds. But it certainly is thinning, which is why we can see these smaller clouds so nicely now. Let's just have a listen for a little while at all the different calls we can hear around us. You really never will hear as many different sounds as you do at a watering hole. Between the hippos and the noises they make in the water and the actual calls and all the birds, I think it's just perfect. Moira, that sounds like a very good plan. A cup of coffee and a book, sitting on the dam wall, listening to all of this and watching the world go by. I think that is an excellent plan. I've got some coffee with me. I don't have a book. Well, I have my guiding books. But I would maybe bring my notebook and draw. Absolutely beautiful place to spend the morning, especially with weather like today. It's not so hot that you're uncomfortable sitting on the dam wall getting hot. It's nice and overcast, and to me, one of the best ways that you can really experience a lot in the bush is if you're dedicated enough to come out and spend a few hours at a time at watering holes. Just sitting on the dam walls and watching what happens. That bird of prey is disappearing very, very quickly. Darren is very good with birds in flight, particularly raptors. Some very interesting sounds coming from the hippos at the moment. X-Ranger, the plants in the water look like a little form of water weed. X-Ranger. Sorry, that is quite funny. X-Ranger, it's some form of water weed. I'm actually not 100% sure what this one is. It's definitely not one of the normal water lilies, I don't think. Perhaps Rexon might know what that is, but I will definitely try and find out for you. It's kind of patchy almost along the sides. Very, very patchy. I saw the elephants eating it yesterday as well, actually, in bits and pieces. quite a variety of different water plants that you would get. Actually, most water plants that you see are invasive species, but I don't think this one is. Oh, I can hear a woodpecker in the background. I don't know if you heard that, but I could hear it tapping away. Okay, I think I'm actually going to go to the other side of the dam now and just have a look if I can see any of the crocodiles. I think they normally like to stay on the other side of the dam. But while I do that and head that way, let's go over to Rexon, who is on the move.
Losing signal. Welcome back. We're trying to find exactly the location of the Kalamba. The tracks is coming more towards the area. We'll check more central to the west. This is the area where we can have signal. But she's moving the cubs. Look like he headed west from the previous den. More or less, she might come out to the point where we are here, to our right, maybe joining central. We'll check central further west. If not, we're gonna come back because the tracks itself is really fresh. It's very promising that today she have leaded the cubs away from the den. Maybe she made a kill. We will never know in the area. We have to slowly drive in this road and observe any tracks that might be in the surrounding. Yes, yet we cannot really go around it, and tracks look like leading out. We had more like go away bed to the right of our area, which is not a good thing also to come to check that because it might be anything that be happening in that surrounding. Look like she might be in here. Thank you. We have a question. What might be the safest den in Djuma? All the dens that she inherited from her mother. There's a one from Yala South and the one that we just drove past called Gwari Central. And I know one here on Yala South, Yala North also. At the moment, it looked like they're all safe because it's really thick in the area. It's only in winter. In winter, I can say, we don't know, but in most cases, it rely on a leopard. If it does have a cubs in winter, she might take the cubs in an area where it will be possible, safe for the youngster. Because the one here in Yala South is right at the bank of the river, which the youngster can go inside. The one that we just drove past is the middle of stream of the river with quite a lot of rocky areas. I cannot say it's safe because anything can be on that area. And the one that in Yala North is not the best, but in summer like this is the best area to den. So we have 4 areas that I can recommend. One of it is around Vuvu Road, very thick area. The tracks haven't come all the way down here. It means the leopard might be headed slightly to the north of the previous spot. Maybe still on that drainage line. We have to go back and try to follow tracks on that area. We camp central, no tracks heading west. So if she made a kill, it could be more or less where we had the go-away bed, giving lamb call. Go away, go away. once they get to see danger, they will let you the present of danger. Even if you walk in the bush, something come behind you, you rely on to go away. You rely, of course, on water thickness, spotted decop, all of that. They will really let you the present of danger that might be coming behind you. So all of that you have to listen and make sure you always in safety position. And one of the things, you might take us in the area where there's no signal. We will see how it goes. If we lose you, we'll move out of that area. But we just want to check, not so far from here, because she look like between the road here and around 200 meters north of here. She might come out in this area. Guys, check, and we would like to link back to Tessa, which is still the Leopard Dam at Gari Dam.
If I could take you on safari all day and all night, I would. But unfortunately, it's not always the best time to see the animals. Now, in between safaris, you can watch the WildEarth channel with loads of extra shows. If you have a connected television, Apple TV or Roku box, then download the WildEarth app, and if not, then just find it on the App Store on your phone.
The little one is up and about. Certainly hasn't had enough milk at this age. No amount of milk is enough. Oh, Corky. Too sweet. Oh, look at this. That is stunning.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
My name is Lauren, and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me, and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
The bushwalk feed allows the camera person some creative license. This is my favorite style of shooting. You have to be mentally and physically prepared. You're shooting handheld in some very strange and contorted positions, always with a straight back, often in the squat position, low to the ground. The creativity comes down to the relationship and sync you have with your presenter. The more you understand each other, the more you'll be able to tell the story seamlessly.
This African hairy hawk seems to be getting higher and higher up as it's busy soaring. Started off quite low to the ground. It seems to have picked up some form of a thermal, and it's just going higher and higher as it goes. This is quite a big raptor. Beautiful grey with black and a bit of white. And definitely, I think, taking advantage of the fact that the wind has kind of died down a little bit and it's starting to warm up. And as the surface of the earth is warming up, it creates warm air, and warm air rises. So I'm sure it is appreciating the fact that it's got a very clear view at the moment without struggling against any gusts of wind to try and find some food. So if you didn't know, this bird used to be known as a gymnogene. It had a name change to the African harrier hawk. Oh, I can hear impalas chasing each other in a bit of a rut. If you can hear strange noises, it's that. Oh, wow. We have got a full-on rut happening right in front of us. Oh my goodness. All right. We've got impalas coming from all angles at the moment. Mid-rut, you can see them chasing each other. That noise was ridiculous. All of a sudden just erupted in noise from the male impalas. I'm going to move a little bit forward now and see if I can get closer, because they seem to be spread out, but most of them are in the clearing in front of me. And this is a bachelor herd of impalas that's just starting their rut a bit early. They're starting their dominance fighting, working out their hierarchy. It's actually quite a large bachelor herd. I'm not gonna lie, it's a pretty large herd compared to the others that I've seen. But I don't want to approach them too quickly because I don't want them to move off. I do want to see if they carry on rutting. But the noises that they make are very, very interesting. Okay, there we have them. Seems like everybody's calmed down again. Kind of relaxing for a little bit now. It actually started, believe it or not, with one of the older males, probably about 3 or 4 years old, chasing one that's maybe 1.5 years to 2 years old. And I think just getting frustrated, maybe because it's so young and trying to get involved in the fighting, and it just chased it straight out of the bachelor herd. And it actually hasn't come back yet. It's somewhere behind me. You will notice that the impalas are being quite quiet now, and they're going back to normal routine. The reason for this is because you can imagine a massive burst of noise like that. Any predator that is anywhere close by hears that, and they know there's a group of impalas that are very, very distracted by each other. So it's a great opportunity to sneak in while they're rutting and not being seen or heard. I think we will have within this group, there'll be individual males that pick out an opponent of a similar size, and they'll start sizing each other up. And then from there, they might actually start fighting. Gregory, out here, impalas are the only antelopes that rut, in the sense that it's such a strict rutting period, and it's quite violent. Any of the animals, whether they are predators or not, will compete for females. So there's always that competition. But a true rut, in the sense of rutting the way we know it with impalas, this is the only species that does it that way, where there's big bachelor herds, they chase each other around, and they have a dominance hierarchy, and they will keep fighting very, very violently. They can actually die, they can kill each other. I mean, if you go to somewhere like Europe, you will find quite a few species there. They also have some form of a rut, but it's not quite the same, because they have antlers that grow back every year and fall off, and they won't, well, they could kill each other, but they won't necessarily, and it won't be as strict as this in terms of big bachelor herds, just random bulls encountering each other. So it's quite different. Kudus can also fight. They can also kill each other. But they won't do it the same way that impalas do. It's actually really interesting how these impalas start a fight with each other. It's almost as though once they've singled out a decent opponent that matches the size that they feel they are capable of handling, they kind of will stand face to face, very similar to the hippos last night, nose to nose, and they just keep kind of, it almost looks like they're nodding their heads, but they're just bobbing their heads at each other. And it kind of initiates a bit of a standoff, and then from there they can start fighting. That's quite a young one to be with the herd. Joshua, the true rut is actually only for about a month, and it's usually around May. But that being said, you know, male impalas in a bachelor herd will start fighting from now. So, you know, a good 6 months they'll be fighting and determining their hierarchy, and in a sense they actually always are. You'll always find impalas fighting and trying to determine their dominance within the bachelor herd. The actual rut, where it gets very, very intense, is normally about a month. But it is one of the few species that will determine a dominance hierarchy and keep working at it the entire year. I will definitely say it starts getting more intense from about now, from about December, because it's nice and hot. And the females have just had their calves, and so they're just starting to get back to their normal cycle. And so it's motivation or incentive for the males to make sure they are where they want to be in the hierarchy. Okay, so I think it looks like they're actually moving back towards the thickets. I don't know whether or not they're going to start chasing each other again, but I do hope so. Oh, there you go. So I'm going to stick around, see what happens.
When on safari, there's nothing better than an evening spent under the stars chatting around a fire, with the sounds of the wild all around you. If you sign up to be a WildEarth explorer, you can build your own memories by joining our guides for regular fireside chats. Subscription payments can be made by PayPal, credit card, and now bank transfer. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature. Cape Nature is the chief custodian of the Western Cape of South Africa's natural environment. This highly successful organization strives to conserve the province's natural heritage to ensure a sustainable future. Besides nurturing nature, Cape Nature offers an authentic ecotourism experience to local and international visitors. And one of these experiences is walking amongst the penguins at Stony Point, or as we know it, Penguin Beach. WildEarth broadcasts live from here every day and is very privileged to be partnered with Cape Nature, who have focused their conservation efforts here. If you want to visit these iconic black and white African penguins for yourself, then head over to our website to find out more. Cape Nature. Conserve, explore, experience.
This warthog is in big trouble. He's got elephants all around. What are you going to do there, big guy? What are you going to do? Oh, he's pretty brave though. Oh man, he's not even moving. Look, that elephant is trying his best, but that warthog ain't budging. That's madness. That's so funny. And we have a winner. The warthog wins the standoff.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
My favorite animal is a leopard, purely because I just think they are just the epitome of feline grace and power, and the way they can move about in any environment and remain hidden until they want to be seen, I just find incredibly intoxicating, and they're amazingly beautiful.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
you, and welcome back from Tessa with the hippo. We're in the area tracks of Kalamba and Cubs went. Very promising tracks. I believe she might be still walking. I check all the roads in the area, which there's no leading tracks out of here. So more or less, she might be around here. That's the good news, because we may follow up in the afternoon and check all the road network surrounded this island where we are here. Maybe she might lead in the area in a position of west. Of course, if you look at the habitat or look at the bush here, a little bit more to our left, you understand if a leopard lie down here with the cubs or still walking in this kind of a terrain, it's more difficult to spot. But I believe Kalamba, she might be leading the cubs slowly away from the previous den. The information we have seen, that we are certain about it, moving more or less very close to central junction. Nyala and Nyala South and Nyala North is where she might be going. Maybe we haven't observed very well in some of the area more eastern side of this riverbed. The ground is very well compact and rocky sort of area where she might cross them and going back towards south along the eastern bank of the drainage line. Really, she selected the best area for the cubs. We hope the cubs will do well in this surrounding. If you look at the habitat, it's perfect for leopard, and also you look at the river or the drainage line that's here. Leopard likes this kind of an area because the youngsters are still young. They can well hidden in under the logs which pushed by elephant, or in a thicket like this. It's quite like spiky sort of a thorn where it can stop anything coming in, rushing into the area. But the youngsters, they can able to maneuver in this. Remember, there's still little that they can go anywhere around the area that can stop hyena, that can stop another leopard, that can stop even lion in particular. So it's really a good area chosen by the female. I really appreciate the way this female movement. I can see if I track around there, she's moving from one drainage line to the next. The reason behind that is the safety of the youngster. There's two sort of drainage line that John said. The confluence of this drainage line here is such a beautiful, beautiful spot. No one can really, even if another leopard comes here, try to kill the youngster, it will be not easy. So let's move again slowly by shore and taking Nyala South and checking on that area. Thank you. We'll take this opportunity. Comments from Yapi. Yapi, we all cross fingers for these cubs to stay here and Kalamba stay here. Due to the competitions of all males around and the female in different areas, likely Kalamba to lose the cubs from another female that is stronger than her, or another male that doesn't father this youngster. Although, if you look at Molowati, he's having a big territory. He came all the way down part of Djuma to the north, and headed more back south, Chitwa, and all the way down to Malamala. He's a dominant male. He mated a few leopard, Kuchava, mated of Sibui, and all these female leopards he have multiple females in his territory, and he's having a huge, he even go across to the west, having such a huge territory. So cubs, they might having competition from the female. So really, I'd like to thank you for everyone that have joined us for the morning drive, and all the questions that have come through. It makes us more excited and feel like we're really supported out there with all people that are watching us. Thank you. Join you by the